So in the summer of 1985, Gary Chartier came up to visit my parents. So this came out 6th of June, 1986. So the summer of 1986, maybe he came up to my parents' home, and I guess I wasn't around. I was probably working at Cahill Radio, and so this is Gary was the editor of La Sierra Criterion, and here's a big spread on my father. Raised Up of God, Desmond Ford on Adventism. Sure, that's my father saying that the church is raised up of God. And there I am. See that handsome devil? I don't even remember that picture. That's me there on the right, and my dad and my parents. And so what do you remember from this interview you did with my dad in, I think in the summer, this says 6th June, 86. So
yes, but I actually did the interview in the summer of 85. I mean, it took a long time to transcribe that.
Transcribe. And you'd never make it as a blogger, Gary.
Yeah. Well, I mean, I really did have I had 5 hours of cassette tape, and I probably somewhere around here, I made multiple copies, probably somewhere I'd have them to give you if you cared, but probably not at this stage, because you can get what you want by looking at this. But what else do I remember? I mean, I just remember that. Wow, I'd forgotten this. I actually remember the address. It was 7955 Bullard Drive.
Yes, that's where we live. 7955 Bullard Drive.
Yeah, that's right. I think that's right. You know, because I'd never met your dad when you were in Angwin, and I'd heard him speak after that. But I think I just, in books that he published, he just printed the address, and I think I just wrote and said, I want to interview you, and he said, come up and do it. So. And I guess I've only had a direct face-to-face conversation with him once since then. I saw him in England once when I was in grad school there. He spoke someplace, and I remember going to hear him there at Newbold, I think.
Ellen White, a gifted Christian leader. Eschatology, Adventist lifestyle has much to offer.
Yeah, I think it's fair to say that, I mean, I don't think I misrepresented your dad in any way, but I do think I selected the things that I printed here in a way that was designed probably to say to readers who weren't sure what to make of him, you don't really need to be scared of this guy. He's really very affirming. I remember that the dean of students at La Sierra, who was not very happy with me, who actually told me that some earlier issue of the Criterion had led people to talk about, quote, ending my career as a student. He actually, he was trying to decide whether to let me print this piece, I remember. And he said, I think this will actually be healing for some people. And,
healing.
Yeah.
Hate that word, healing. Yeah. It's a very popular word these days, for the last 20 years. This is my dad. The Ellen White pattern, #1, stresses self-development as our very first duty. In other words, she doesn't put a stress on gaining possessions or having pleasure, but it's developing our capacity for usefulness. I think I'm even sounding like my father now. #2.
In general, I think you're not, but there was something you said, I don't remember what it was earlier, where the intonation was very familiar.
Yeah, it's scary when, remember as you do that every fiber and cell of your being is controlled by the law of God. Therefore, your life should be one in harmony with natural law. She has much to say about the advantages of country living. And the statistics are overwhelming that the crime and the many forms of extreme behavior in bizarre forms are far more prominent in Los Angeles and New York, San Francisco, than, say, the country areas of Idaho, Virginia, Kentucky, and so on. They're not without bizarre elements, but it's not nearly as much a problem. Ellen White's stress on country living has much to recommend it. So that's cool. Raised Up of God. Desmond Ford on Adventism.